You're watching Picks on Politics.
And welcome back, everybody, to Picks on Politics. So the legal road ahead for Mayor Eric Adams following his federal indictment, certainly a long one. Or is it? As we reported, his defense team plans to file this motion to get these charges dismissed sometime next week. To navigate through the legal side of the story, I want to bring in now former federal prosecutor Cathy Fleming. And Cathy, thank you for being here. I know that there is certainly a lot to talk about. You are well versed when it comes to things like this. And I want to get right to the motion to dismiss, right? And if that is actually standard practice when you have a case of this magnitude.
When you have a case of this magnitude charging bribery, I'd say it is a pretty standard move these days. The Supreme Court and our jurisprudence have really cut back on what will stand for bribery charges. You have to prove up an actual quid pro quo. And it's very interesting. There is a case right now that's trying to get certiorari in the Supreme Court to get it even cut back further. Brian Benjamin had his charges tossed out from the district court, and the Second Circuit reversed it. So I think that what we're going to see here is the game plan to try to get the bribery charges out on the grounds that it was not an explicit quid pro quo.
So here's the thing, will we get a sense, Cathy, next week of the defense strategy for Mr. Adams? They hinted today, right, when they came outside that they want to see more evidence. They're saying this is all based on one person, and that person is simply lying. But you saw the indictment. It's lengthy. It is detailed. There's a calendar of events. What do you think is going to happen next week?
I think next week they probably will present the motion. The defense team's being extremely aggressive and proactive, which I applaud. It's the right thing to do. And I think they're going to come in and they're going to be forcing the prosecutors to move as quickly as possible to get their case ready for trial. And the defense is going to be trying to put up as many roadblocks as they can, as well as looking at what the evidence is to see what they need to do. And the government may have some interesting roadblocks. I noticed, for example, that there's a lot of allegations of Turkish witnesses.
Yeah.
I've been involved in a case involving Turkey. You're not getting witnesses here from Turkey unless they're agreeing to come. So, there's some interesting things.
That's very fascinating. I want to ask you one question. Sorry to interrupt you, but I have to ask you about the raids we saw take place today, right? And the fact that the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District said that he wants more information and he's calling on people to come forward. But we saw a raid of his chief advisor. Is that typical when there's an indictment, it's already unsealed, that you're going to see them still going after things, or are these part of potentially other cases?
The United States Attorney's Office is not allowed to use grand jury investigations and raids to get evidence for a trial. They have to have a continuing investigation into either expanded charges or additional people if they're going to use grand jury subpoenas and that mechanism to get evidence. Damian Williams said yesterday in the press conference that it was a continuing investigation and that he did anticipate that other people were going to be involved. So I think what we're seeing is they're continuing to gather evidence. I assume that they will try to claim, or they will claim, that it was under the guise of a continued grand jury. If they happen to get some evidence that helps in their current case, they're not barred from using it, as long as they did not intentionally use the back door to try to get it.
In the indictment, it says that it describes somebody as a witness, right? And then they say that witness is lying. And today, or on Friday, when the mayor was in the courtroom, he was told that part of his rules for bail are not to talk to people listed in the indictment, but there was no one listed in the indictment because it's not named.
What you generally do is the prosecutors and the defense will speak, and the prosecutors are supposed to give you a list of who the people are who are their potential witnesses. I also noticed that there were a couple unusual things about the bail, in addition to him not having to surrender a passport, which is quite unusual. But another one of them was that it said that he couldn't speak to the witnesses about the circumstances of this investigation and proceeding, which generally you're not allowed to talk to the witnesses at all unless you have counsel present. So I'm assuming that this is going to involve a lot of people who are still working at City Hall and with whom he necessarily has to work to carry on the business of running New York City.
All very interesting. Cathy, you are a wealth of knowledge and a great resource. So thank you for being here on Picks and Politics for this important conversation. I'm sure we'll be talking to you next week as well.
My pleasure. Good night, Dan.
All right, and everybody, as we focus on what's next for Mayor Adams, there's been a long and windy road leading up to the federal indictment. We're going to take a look at that road when we come back.